Thank you for staying with us. As Nigerians count down to May the 29th handover, the president-elect Bola Tinubu is also not resting on his oars. He has kick-started his plans to constitute a government of national competence, which would form the basis for his appointments. The president-elect, in a statement, said religion, ethnicity, and other similar considerations will not be a basis for appointments, but people who can deliver the task of moving Nigeria forward. Just like he did while he was governor of Lagos State, he is already headhunting for the best of brains with capacity to help drive developmental agenda. Joining us to discuss more on the Bola Tinubu agenda is a public affairs analyst, John Ekundayo. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you, Veronica.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah,
right.
Great.
We're already seeing some level of lobbying, intense lobbying from party stakeholders and the like, looking at ministerial positions and other key appointments. But let's begin with how healthy this is for our democracy.
Well, it's the normal thing. Normally when there's after election, politicians mostly, and then maybe some few technocrats, we also want to, I can do this in government. So it's part of the the democratic process. And don't forget, we are just on a nascent democracy. We are developing. So it's expected. But then the onus lie on the president-elect, to do the best. And he has said that he would rather prefer a government of national competence rather than national unity, which I think that would be a novel idea, a kind of a unique one that we'll be having, in our democratic dispensation, which I'll be glad if indeed his word is his bond in that regard, that competence will be at the forefront. Definitely, there will be some political consideration, bearing in mind the constitution, bearing in mind party affiliation, and the rest. But most importantly, also taking into consideration when he was in Lagos State, his relationship with people that he has met. I believe the president-elect will surprise many Nigerians. Many people he has known for some time. Many people have been, if to say I'm in so position and I could be the president of this country, so and so can do so and so for Nigeria, and Nigeria will marvel. I believe he has his jokers that will come up, that will surprise some people, looking at his pedigree, looking at his antecedent. That's just what I would say for now.
Well, he has been known to attract the best when it comes to people, the team that should work with him. He's shown that over and over again with the opportunities he had when he was governor. However, this at the national level, where a lot of people have agreed that you can find competence anywhere in the country. But there is also the issue of, we have talked about this sometime on the program several times, and I'd like to hear from you on this. There are those who have worked for the party, those who are politicians who have worked for the party, and to ensure that there's victory. Now that is there.
Yeah.
There are those who are technocrats, who are competent, skilled, have the capacity to do certain things, to carry out some certain assignments. Now, how do we reconcile? Because those who had worked for the party for the victory may not necessarily be the technical people who are skilled in certain areas. They may be skilled in politicking and electioneering and all of that, but may not necessarily be skilled in the technical capacity in handling certain areas of government. How will that reconciliation be done?
What I would say is that there are some obvious MDAs, agencies of government. When I say MDAs, ministry department agencies, that are core and crucial. They are germane to actually measuring the performance indices of the government. So in balancing, it's because he also has to follow the Constitution. The Constitution stipulates that every state of the federation should be represented in the cabinet.
So federal character.
So to reflect our federal character. And like you have said, Mike, people in the party, they have worked towards his victory. That is okay. You see, but if, first of all, let's take the cabinet, for instance. To me, if he has said government of national competence, fine. For the cabinet, it's crucial that it needs people who are competent. There are politicians who are competent. These days we even have some politicians that, you see them as multidisciplinary. They are even technocrats in their own right. So fine, taking from there. And there are some that they may not necessarily be in the cabinet, but they could be, chairman of board or parastatal or one or the other, or maybe an ambassadorial post they will have. You see, but for the cabinet, it's crucial that, for instance, somebody that will be Minister of Health, for instance, should know something, a medical something, very well, and be versatile. And not just knowing about medicine, but you see, how has it been the practice in Nigeria, and some other agencies of government like that. You see, because Nigeria has suffered in time past. You see, when you put people there that, you have civil servants who have been there all along, and who will now be telling the Oga, go this way. And this has been where we have been going all along, and there has not been any credible change. And if we are saying renew hope, and our hope has to be renewed, we don't have to go that route again. So that is why it's good when he's talking about competence. I remember when he was governor of Lagos State, he had hunted for somebody like Ben Akabweze, and brought him in, to head the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. And, with that, the World Bank came in to support Lagos State. A lot of initiatives. And I retired as Director of Monitoring and Evaluation in Lagos State. And I can tell you that people were coming from Enugu State, from Kano, from all the states to learn the template from Lagos State. You see, because we are getting approval from DFID, we are getting this thing from World Bank, and so on like that. So, you see, I believe, bringing that to the national front will help us, not just in economic planning budget, not just in health, but in other areas of governance. I just believe that. There must be a balance, but competence, is key. How
challenging do you think it will be for him to achieve that balance, looking at the fact that he has said that he is not looking at politics, so to speak. Its competence is what he's focusing on. But navigating through all of these waters, how challenging do you think it will be?
Politics cannot be pushed aside. It has to still come to the fore because, like Mike said, people labored day and night for his emergence, and they were in the party together with him. You see, but there will be a range of options. There are some agencies that, you may not necessarily have somebody who is a technocrat heading. Whereas the permanent secretary is already a technocrat. You can even have some special advisors, beside the minister, like that. Because really, the politicians have also to be in government. They have to be, but really, for some key and crucial agencies of government, we need the technocrat to run such organizations so that at the end of the day, there can be some measure of performance that can be discernible within a short period of time. Because right now on the table of whosoever will be taking over from the president, equivalent President Muhammadu Buhari, that's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by May 29, this year, by the grace of God, a lot is on the table, especially about the economy, about the security. Uneasy lies there that wears a crown. And many people, I think, it's a gamut of tasks ahead of him. So, and that is why it cannot just be politicized. It cannot be politicized. So that's just what I would say there, because he needs to head on for the best brain to do this work, to do this assignment.
All right, Nigerians are very hungry for that improvement in their lives and standard of living, as the case may be. In fact, they can't wait. They want magic to be done, if possible, because there has been disappointment one way or the other in so many administrations in the past where promises are made, somehow policies are implemented, and they don't feel the impact as it is expected. Now they want that, they're looking forward to that magic that will be done. Talk to us about some key ministries that will be very significant that the president-elect should pay attention to. What ministries do you think that he has to really look hard to get people that can fit into that ministry to create the kind of change that Nigerians expect?
That's a very, very salient question. Number one is the Ministry of Finance, planning and budget. Very, very key and crucial. You see, because a lot is actually going on. We are talking about removal of fuel subsidy or not removal, maybe to be in this administration or the next one, So you need an head to actually run such a ministry. And for me, finance, economic planning, but it's bogus. It's too big a ministry. And that's another thing for me. I'm looking at, there was a time we have Ministry of Budget, budget alone, because at the federal level it's a lot, So economic planning, we have the National Planning Commission. The National Planning Commission should come up with the idea, not just running mechanical show like that. They should come up with a robust agenda, strategic agenda, and looking forward. I believe it will end in this at the federal level, because in Lagos State, we once had the strategic plan spanning years like that, and now Lagos State is even renewed that. So, all these 3-year, 5-year development plan, that's not how a nation grows. Because for a nation, we should be thinking of where we will be in 10 years' time, where we will be in 15 years' time, 20 years' time. So that ministry, then apart from that, the Ministry of Defense, very, very key, because we are talking about the security of the nation. Right now, a lot needs to be done, and people must now have confidence in our security architecture. That's very, very key, very, very crucial. And then the Ministry of Health. I will talk about the Ministry of Health. You see, because it's out of lip service we have been paying to our health program. We had COVID-19. Thank God, God was just merciful to us in this side of the world. You see, but tell me, where can we actually say and point to a world-class health institution? From 2020 to 2023, we are in 2023 now. I have not seen any planning along that line. Thank God for private university like Afebabala University in Ado-Ekiti. With all the equipment, with all this thing that even while they are in Ado-Ekiti, you can see physicians, they are in UAE or US partnering and working and doing some things and making some things to happen. What's happened to our teaching hospitals? So there must be a whole, looking at the whole of the health sector and doing something. And that area is a crucial area that, the president-elect, upon inauguration, should actually focus attention to. So I would say for these three, very, very crucial for us at this time. Of course, before I leave that, the Minister of Petroleum, again, you see, I don't know how he's going to do that, whether we could toe the line of the former President Goodluck Jonathan and even the incumbent President Buhari in still making themselves Minister of Petroleum and just having Minister of State for Petroleum. You see, but I think very, very important. You see, so when we are talking about competence and then politics balancing, whosoever will be heading the NNPC and then the Ministry of Petroleum, very crucial, because you see, there are a lot of leakages that we have. I just listened to the news of recent, before this program, leakages here and there. That's an area where the president-elect coming upon inauguration has to really look at, you see, and make sure that, things take the right shape.
Right. He was mentioning what about education?
I was asking of education. Where does education lie in all of these? Actually, because I just wanted to make mention of some few, but like you are talking to, education is crucial. On this program we have talked when ASU was on a protracted strike, that our education needs to be revamped. Very, very crucial. You see, now for education, it's a gamut of a whole lot of work. We are talking about universities, we are talking about polytechnics, we are talking about colleges of education. I overheard you when you are doing press review about our curricula. It just needs to be
the whole thing needs to be reevaluated. We need a whole hog of work there. And that is why somebody very, very competent in that area should be the Minister of Education this time around, that will really focus attention. We are talking about our university now. We should be thinking about how can our universities, how can our tertiary institutions be autonomous? How can they be very crucial? And then we talk about the curricula. The curricula, because right, like Veronica was saying during the press review, having traveled to some other country, you could see some things. I resided in Singapore, and I remember with my kids, in the primary school. Can you imagine? Primary school, they have audiovisual. I went to their school. I was surprised. And you see my children going to school in the morning. I look at the bag they carry. Books for this and that. And when they get there, they have slide. They have even television. They play video, something for them. They give, so they can have retentive memory. We need to look at our curriculum and reevaluate the whole thing. And particularly, there is a need to put into our curricula, certain learning of, a certain trade, a kind of something you can do with your hand. Even right when you were in primary school. In those days, when we were in primary school, if you could recollect, we were doing handcrafts.
No, of course.
We are doing handcraft. We should go back to that. People can learn something. People learn how to repair phone now within 3 months.
We used to weave baskets at that time.
Thank you. Basket, broom. We need to, so we need to go to all this so that people will have the skill. So that, because nowadays it's no more, I have a certificate, I have a ticket. It doesn't matter. You may even have PhD and you are still hungry. And there's no job for you. Yes, it's happening now. So that is why what you can do with your hand matters. And you can just stay in your house and you are doing it, and people say with you and say, can you do this for me? Please do 5. How much does it cost? And from there, you are earning something and you are making something. It should start right from the primary school, going to the secondary school. So that a whole gamut of work is needed in the education sector. I agree with you.
Right. Now, with regards to, yes, he has spoken about the matter of competence on the front burner of his decision-making. There's also the aspect of character. A majority of Nigerians are, these days, they play up some things. They go back into the internet, dig up stories about persons. And there are those who are saying that is also critical and crucial in his decision-making, in the choice of persons he puts on board.
Yes, I believe. But one thing is, many people will have pasts, some that are not palatable, some that are good, and some, there are some also that, people will say about some people that are not really true. That's why these days I tell people, if somebody should publish something, especially anything on social media is already in the public domain, it's published, and it's not right. Don't just keep quiet and say, well, don't worry, it will fizzle away. No, the best thing is get somebody, could be somebody doing it for you or yourself, and put your own there to counter it, and people can verify. You see, so people will have pass. You see, but one thing is this: there was a template used in Singapore, and I remember when Lee Kuan Yew emerged as the prime minister from among the people, politicians in the party, PAP, People's Action Party, it was like business as usual. And, for many of them, they have their pass. But then he told them the pass is gone. Now it's new. And he changed the party's uniform from whatever to white, telling them zero tolerance for corruption. And when they thought, this man is not serious, they could still continue as before. The first person he fired was his uncle. And everybody said, right. So I believe, because mostly people will have their past, maybe where they have made a slave, where they have done this, where they have done that. Some people still have files in EFCC and whatever, you see. So, and because of this, I remember, and this is a very good question, and silly one, I remember the incumbent president. It's good now, his government is now signing into law that within how many days cabinet should be formed, whether 60 days.
Yeah, 60 days.
Now, but for President Muhammadu Buhari, it took months. I can't remember them.
6 months.
6 months for him to even select his cabinet. Why? He was looking for purists. He was looking for people who are Spartan. But at the end of the day, he didn't get them. So if we want to go that route, well, it's still good, but at least let somebody let there be a kind of this thing, consensus of people, looking at it that, oh, for this person, how about the character, how about the competence that this person has, fine. And then meeting them and telling them. I remember former President Olusegun Obasanjo did something, during his own tenure. And, I remember for the ministers that, he gave them letter of, undated letter of resignation in case you mess up. It's just a matter of putting the Of course, I won't advocate for that. But there is something, it's about meeting them and telling them, gentlemen, you know the situation in which our country is right now, and we need to work. And we need to show this. And this is what I expect from you. Anything short of that, you'll be fired. You are hired, you could be fired. So that it should just be a simple language, HR language. You are hired, you could be fired at any time. It's not an electoral appointment. Oh, my people put me here. Okay, we'll go back to another poll or whatever. You are hired, and that is it. And these ministers need to know that. It's like you're a commissioner or a minister. You are hired, and you can be summarily fired at any time. It's only that the incumbent president is so laissez-faire. In leadership study, we call it laissez-faire. Because many ministers serving in this government, they don't have any business. They shouldn't be there. Because if there have been metrics, that you should do this, and if there are some things we are looking at in the future, and then we look at it at the end of the year, out of 10, you have not even attempted to do 2. Why are you there? Yeah. In advanced climb, normally you will have resigned before 31st of December and leave the stage because you find yourself incompetent to actually perform. So that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, a lot of people have agreed that the buck stops on the table of the president, whoever the chief executive is, because you give an order or you give an instruction. If it is not carried out, you should ask why it is not carried out. We've seen in cases where we talk about incompetencies or competencies of ministers or people who are subordinate to the chief executive. In this administration, we've had the president at the time say that he didn't know that the person I told to do this didn't do it. Of course, the president can be very busy with a lot of things, but talk to us from the perspective of the head, the chief executive being in charge, where you give an instruction and give them time frame, give them the resources to carry out whatever instruction or carry out whatever assignment and bring back results. Because sometimes that's where the challenge is, where you give an instruction, you assume that it's carried out, but you don't ask questions. What do you see?
if the Bola Tinubu that I've been reading about and following and writing about, no intercedents in Lagos State, is the same Bola Tinubu that's the president-elect, that will be president on 29th of May, I know one thing about him, and that is it, dialoguing with people, discussing with people, interfacing with people, especially people in his cabinet, like in Lagos State, for instance. And that is still the practice now, because he started it, it's still the practice in the ESCO. Because I've been in ESCO before to follow my boss there. Not that I was a member of ESCO, but as director, at times we follow, especially when we are preparing budget. You see, once there are certain things you agree upon, there are dates, there are timelines. So in the next ESCO meeting, just like Lagos State was doing the economic summit, Lagos State started that, and you could see there are itemized things to do list for next year, for some months, next quarter, second quarter. So by the time Eyigbeti is happening another time, they are looking at this resolution. How many are we covered? How many are we attempted? We have not covered. That's how it's supposed to be. So I will advocate for the incoming president. Retreat to start with retreat for his cabinet. It could be 1 week retreat, really rigorous one. And then at that retreat, every minister, go and bring your goal. We'll give them some time. Yes! What you want to achieve, it should not be tea party as usual. Your goal, you itemize it. And then discuss, with your goal, definitely you will need resources and whatever. If you are given these resources, then you'll be able to do this in education, in health, in defense, like that, in economic planning, in budgeting, like that. So with that, after that initial retreat, quarterly, in Lagos State, that's the template. You have PS, ESCO legislative retreat. You go back again to the drawing board. Even with Governor Sanwo-Olu there now, with Fashola when he was there, with Ambode when he was there, that has been a template. You see, but when you just leave the ministers, they just run riot all over the place and sit down, and they are just your minister. Minister, means servant. You are to serve, and you should give account of your stewardship. Because even the Bible says so, you may no longer be steward. You may no longer be steward. If you cannot give account of what is given to you, you are given resources. The resources were meant to deliver. So if you are not delivering, if honorably, you should resign. That's what happens.
But we don't have that in Nigeria.
We should get to that. We should see some people setting that example. Like, I thought I would just be sitting here and be, performing and things will be working. But since things are not working, and I don't even have a clue. It's true. I don't have a clue. It's better I go back to my profession. I resign.
This is
keep
not
my name.
New Zealand.
Yeah, I keep my name. You see, I people will respect you for that.
Absolutely.
And respect you. You can go back to the classroom. We have seen people after being minister. I remember one professor in UI then, went back to the classroom and started lecturing. Like that. I've forgotten his name now.
He had something to fall back to.
Yeah, he was Minister of Petroleum that time. I think it was under the military, under Buhari.
There are those who do not have anything to fall
Yeah,
back to.
there are some presidents. In fact, former president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, went back to the universities, and he's contributing to learning.
Now, one quick question is the aspect of, there are those who have said that his intentions, he might have good intentions, but the people around him might just want to undermine his efforts. Recall that even in this administration, there's been talk about cabal, and all of that. And there are concerns with regards to that aspect, how he can manage, through with the interests of such persons.
In every government, there will be a kitchen cabinet. Even with Jesus Christ. He has Peter, James, and John. And then even when Peter and James cannot get access, John will hear and tell them. So you cannot wish it away. See, but one thing is sure. Do you know what? There was a time Jesus Christ went out. I'm sorry, I'm going on biblical leave. You see, but that's my telling. He was asking people, who do
people say I am?
Say the Son of Man is. And this is a thing for our governors and for the president as well. They need to have ear outside. They need to, get some people who are doing like order covering for them. Going to the market, going to the school. We don't have, in the days of the military, I remember, Western State that time, I remember this man, I don't know whether it's late now, David Demi-Benwan. He was a military governor. He will disguise. And we see any of our governors doing that, disguise, so that you will even know that he's governor. And he will go and visit a school to test whether you are collecting legal fee, whether you are doing one thing or the other. You see, if our governors could not disguise, they could have people who will do undercover for them. Even the president too, go to so state, go to so place, find out, and then mine all this from Kaduna, from Abia, from Ogun State, from Kogi State, Sanfara, Sokoto State, and put this thing together and get feedback of people. What are they saying? What are they saying? What are they saying? I remember I wrote a book about Fashola because I studied his leadership style for my PhD. And, before I presented the book to him, he was saying, no, give me time, give me time. He said, well, I'm reading the book. And where I'm enjoying most, on the day he came for the public presentation, he said, where people were talking about what he has left undone, is that what interested him the most? And that should be the thing in the art of leadership. Where are people saying, we are not feeling you at all in economy. We are not feeling you at all in health. Maybe that's what they are saying. You should hear that. It's not where, psychopaths are around you. Ha, you are the best president in the world. Hey, you are a very, then what is it that we are saying? You see, so, but getting the feelers from the common man on the street, from people in the market, from people in the school, like that. And then doing something about that. From the youth, from across, the strata of the society, genuine feedback, not from the kitchen cabinet, and reading wide. reading wide, newspaper, whatever it is, the president has to create time because most of his work will be with meeting with people, with planning ahead. That's why he needs to get the competent hands to handle the ministries. So now he will be expecting results from them. And he needs to now begin to find out what are people saying. Not that what he wants to hear, but genuinely, what are people saying? Objectively, what are people saying?
All right. This is where we have to leave the conversation. John Ekundayo, the public affairs analyst, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you, Doctor, for coming.
Thank you.